Hey everyone, this is Metalhead Nation 1021, and this is a video that I've wanted to do for a long time. The channel name, even though it's Metalhead Nation 1021, probably my favorite genre, or at least a very close second to metal, would be progressive rock and progressive metal. Um, in addition to the large collection that I have of metal music, I have a not equally large, but still quite massive collection of progressive rock and metal. Um, and in this video, I just wanted to show you guys basically every single album that I have that's progressive metal or progressive rock. Um, the few ground rules that I set was that I am excluding things like technical death metal or whatnot. It, in general, I think every single album here is mainly clean vocals. Uh, and this is a video I've wanted to do for a long time, and this is going to be a bit of a long one, but I'm going to try to go through it pretty fast. Not really doing any reviews of any of these albums, just make a few comments on them and move on to the next one. I'm also going to try to organize this by discography for bands that I have more than one album of. I'm going to try to divide it up into sections. So, um, for example, if I'm talking about Yes, then I'm going to do all their albums at one time. There are a few bands that I only have uh, like one album for, so I just consider those like miscellaneous, and I will be doing those uh, by themselves. I'll just do them all at once, and that's what I'm gonna start the video with. So to begin, I have the Best of Queensryche collection right here, or compilation. I haven't listened to this whole thing yet. I'm not the biggest Queensryche guy, but it was for a two CD album. Maybe even I think it's two or three. It was extremely cheap, and I thought it was worth it. In my opinion, it was from what I have listened to. Um, the next album, this one is very obscure. When I found it at my local record store, I couldn't believe a physical copy even existed. I'd only heard about it on the internet. This is the band Satellite. It's, I guess, kind of symphonic prog, but to be honest, it sounds like space rock at some points. But they're really good. This is another band that uh, is pretty obscure, not nearly as obscure, but they're starting to get a lot of traction, and great band. That would be Southern Empire. From the ashes of the band Unitopia, I think some of the members came together and put this together. A totally different sound than Unitopia, though. Well, that one definitely leans more symphonic prog. This is all the way crossover, if not even at some points progressive metal. This is one of the few bands that I can say have come close to achieving like a Dream Theater sound, and I find the band does it unintentionally, which is equally impressive, if not more impressive than doing it on purpose. Speaking of bands that sound like Dream Theater, Seventh Wonder. This is an awesome progressive slash I'd say power metal band. I'm not sure where they're from. I can't remember. I believe it's Europe, but great album, pretty heavy, and this is another one that I found at a great price at a local record store. Uh, this album right here was one of the first progressive metal albums that I bought. This was Periphery 2, if I'm not mistaken. Just gonna make sure. Or it might be Periphery 1, I can't remember. No, it's not. This is Periphery 2, I think. Uh, Great album. I think the reason I bought it was because there's a John Petrucci guest solo on here. Love this from what I've heard. I still need to get still need to get Periphery 4, and that's probably my favorite by the band. I still need to get that on CD though. Here's another band that I should be getting an updated collection for pretty soon, as they're releasing a new album early next year. That is Transatlantic, and this is The Whirlwind. Uh, Maybe the longest song I have in my collection. 77 minutes. Amazing prog epic, modern prog. In all honesty, I think this is not just one of the best modern prog bands and like symphonic prog bands, but one of the best progressive rock bands of all time, and definitely one of, if not the best, progressive rock supergroup of all time. An odd one right here that I haven't seen much of before is a prog rock Christmas album. This one I still haven't listened to yet, but as it being the 1st of December where I'm at, it is a great opportunity to listen to this within the next few days. And last but not least for this miscellaneous category is this box set. Believe it or not, as a huge fan of progressive rock and metal, I only have one Genesis album, at least with me right now. I do have a live cassette from, I think it was the early 70s if I'm not mistaken, but this is the, I think it's 67-75 Genesis Archive box set. It has the CDs on the inside, and then a pretty extensive book in the middle that goes through their early history. I really do think this is a very well put together box set, and if you can find this, I definitely would say buy it. And this was also found at a local record store and was a complete surprise, and I was ecstatic when I found it. So that is all of the miscellaneous items that in my collection for the progressive rock. For the most part, when it comes to progressive rock and metal, I keep a very concentrated collection where I try to get an entire band's discography, or at least get as many as possible. Just one little detour. I do have a lot of the Prog magazine. I don't know what you'd call these. I guess sample discs. Generally really high quality, and a lot of young new talent gets featured on these consistently. Yeah, great collection. Another band that I haven't listened to a lot, at least the newer progressive rock work, but yet I only own their newer albums just because I haven't been able to find them in their older albums, which I do prefer, in a record store. That will be Opeth. The first one actually came with a magazine, and I'm not sure actually anything about the title or where I think it might have been Prog magazine, but now that I think about it, it might not have. I just remember this is one of the first sample discs I ever got, and I believe it also features Enslaved on here somewhere. But yeah, it's really good. I think this is an orchestra, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't listened to that one in a long time. And then I also have Opeth's two newest albums, which is Sorceress and I'm just going to make sure I pronounce this as close as possible. In Cauda Venenum or something like that. I don't know. Not the biggest Opeth fan, but I do like that there's a band of their size still creating progressive music. And especially these retro albums is really cool to see that even new ideas can be brought to the table, even though they're sometimes not ones that I prefer to the older bands. The next band I think I'll jump into is going to be King Crimson, which I have two items for. How can you not have In the Court of the Crimson King as a prog collector? Great album. I love this album. Revolutionary album. It's considered top 5 greatest progressive rock albums of all time in almost everybody's lists that has been listening for decades and decades, and for good reason. And the other item that I have by King Crimson is this huge box set, the Heaven and Earth box set, which I believe is 1997 to 2008. 24 discs separated between like CDs, Blu-rays, and DVDs. So much stuff. I haven't finished it, but that's just because there's literally over 10 hours of content on this box set as a whole. Yeah, between video, audio, remasters, it's just amazing. I totally recommend this, and I got it for a very good price. The next band I'm going to talk about is a progressive metal band, and a modern one that could also be considered a supergroup, I suppose, in the same vein as and I don't remember which band I referred to earlier. Anyways, I'm talking about Sons of Apollo. Everybody knows this band. Mike Portnoy, Billy Sheehan, Jeff Scott Soto, Derek Sherinian, and Ron Thal Bumblefoot, however you say his name. I have their debut. They've only put out 2 albums, studio albums, I should say. And I also have their 2020 album, MMXX. I think that's it, yeah. And this is Psychotic Symphony. I also have a signed copy of Psychotic Symphony that I got when I went to go see the band. I believe it was in 2018 or 2017, one of those 2 years. I got to see them, and it was a great concert. It was one of the best concerts I've gone to. Got 4 more bands left to talk about, but these are the ones that have a massive amount of albums. So these are going to take a bit longer. And again, I want to preface that this is most of my collection and not all of it. I've definitely misplaced some items around my house, so I'll probably do a part 2 eventually. And I don't plan on stopping buying any of these. Buying albums from these bands or from other progressive rock or metal bands. But with that being said, I'm going to move on to Rush. My favorite Rush album, by far, bar none, is Hemispheres. I can't believe I only have 1 copy of this, but I do. I mean, Cygnus X1 Part 2, probably the best Rush song of all time in my opinion. I also have All the World's a Stage right here. And I have R40 Live, which I believe is the most recent Rush live album. I might be wrong on that. Crest of Steel, I'm sorry. This is another album that I still need to listen to, but I know it generally ranks on the lower end of people's discography lists for Rush. And the few people that I've really talked to that are really into Rush say that it's the opposite and it's one of the best ones. So I'll have to give it a chance. Test for Echo, which has one of my favorite Rush album covers. Another one that I need to listen to still. Got Rush Counterparts. I'm not too familiar with this, but I have listened to it. I'm not mistaken, the band Allegiant, the technical death metal band Allegiant, did a cover of one of their songs from this album. And then their most recent studio album, Clockwork Angels, and obviously their last one after the passing of Neil. And then I also have Snakes and Arrows, which is second most recent, if I'm not mistaken. I really do like this one a lot. I have 2112 on vinyl. This is actually the first vinyl I ever purchased, if I'm not mistaken. And it is also the first Rush album that I ever had on physical media. I bought it, I think it was $3 at a flea market. And this, in all honesty, probably may be the item that sparked my interest in buying physical music. I might be wrong on that, but thinking back on it now, it went all uphill from here. And then last but not least for Rush is the Rush 5 Classic Albums collection. This contains Moving Pictures, Fly By Night, A Farewell to Kings, 2112, and Signals. It's taped up. That's just how the record store did it. I don't mind. This is an awesome album collection. Personally, I think the only album that is missing that would make this the perfect one would be Hemispheres, but I already own it anyways. But I would swap out probably Fly By Night for Moving Pictures. I'm sorry, not Moving Pictures, for Hemispheres. But great collection right here. And that does it for my Rush album collection. That one's pretty big. I'm going to move on to one that's a little bit smaller, but I'd say equally as impressive. This one's probably one of the most prized collections that I have out of my entire collection of music in general, metal and prog. This is going to be my Flat Albums collection, and I'm going to start with The newest album, Islands. The Flower Kings are my second favorite band, I'd say. And I'll get into who my first is, and if you've seen the channel, you already know who it is. But Islands is their most recent album. I got mine signed and numbered, with mine is number 66. What should I say? I'll set that right there. Here, I'm running out of room right here. Along with that, I also have Stardust We Are, the Japanese version. No difference in this one other than the packaging, really. And no bonus tracks or anything. But the other Japanese edition that I have, the Flower Power Japanese edition, has 4 bonus tracks, and they're all Thomas Bodine piano pieces. I think this one right here was the better deal between the two, because it has the bonus tracks and it was about $10 cheaper. These were very expensive. Speaking of expensive, these might be my prized albums in my collection. That would be the Kingdom of Colors Flower Kings box sets. These cost me more money than I'd ever like to admit. They contain all the studio albums for the band up to 2013. So I think that's 12 albums. This one right here is the original line. This is from 95, I believe, to 2002, and this one's from 2004 to 2013. And this one also contains I think 3 discs of bonus tracks from the band. These were so cool. I'm just so glad I have these. And if you haven't checked out the Flower Kings, they're one of the most underrated bands of all time, in my opinion. I would check them out. If you like Yes, Genesis, even if you like bands along the sides of like Dream Theater and King Crimson even, they basically cover all the bases at one point or another. Their discography is massive in terms of length of songs and length of albums and the number of albums they put out. So I definitely check them out. And they're one of the most consistent progressive rock bands, in my opinion, as well. So that brings us down to 2 more bands to talk about my collection of. First, between these two, I will be talking about the band Yes. So I have a lot of Yes albums, and even though I'd say that I like Yes and Genesis almost equally, I for some reason have been able to find a lot more Yes albums at stores than Genesis albums. Or at least the progressive era albums. So the first one I'm going to show is Union on cassette. Not a huge fan of this album. I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's great. But it was $2. How could I not get that? Second I'm going to show is the Yes 50th Anniversary live album. I actually have 2 copies of it, one's still in the packaging. Great album. I think it's definitely not one of their best live albums. If you have any of their older live albums or bootleg live albums, anything, it's probably going to be better than this, but it's still a great album nonetheless. It's a lot slower than most of their other live albums. I mean, the members are now, I think, in their 70s for the most part, but nothing to scoff at. It's still a great collection of the classic Yes discography. How can you have a Yes collection without Fragile? Though it's not really my favorite or one of my favorites, it's still a great album, and it's so easy to find this album, on vinyl especially. This one is awesome. The Yes 50th anniversary, but not official Yes, I guess is the best way to put it. This is the Anderson, Rabin, and Wakeman version, and I think a lot of people prefer this one. When these two came out around the same time, I saw everybody jump onto the hype train for this one far more than the one with Steve Howe and Alan White. So it's still a good album. Both of them are. I'd say I prefer this one as well. The most popular Yes album, but the least popular probably for the progressive rock fans, and that would be 90125. The vocal harmonies on this album, from what I remember, are beautiful. I love them. It's a great album. Classic Yes, which is a really cool compilation album. I listen to this one in the car a lot. It really puts together a lot of their early discography perfectly. And for a single disc set, you couldn't ask for anything better. This is the Yes 35th anniversary compilation album, or I guess it'd be the Ultimate Yes. And 3 discs, comes with an awesome poster. Beautiful album art. I love this so much. Everything that Roger Dean touches is gold. But really good compilation. My only problem is that it really only tackles their shorter songs for the most part. But I do have another compilation that will more than definitely surpass that one. This is the most recent item in my collection, if I'm not mistaken. This is Yes Live at Montreux, if I'm pronouncing that right, in 2003. This was right after Magnification, if I'm not mistaken. And I do believe it features Wakeman back in the band. I might be wrong on that, though. This is a really good. I haven't actually got to watch this one yet, but I've seen clips on YouTube for this album, and it's great. Now to the vinyl for Yes. Probably my favorite, or no, it wouldn't be my favorite, but it'd definitely be my top 3 favorite Yes albums. Relay. I love this album. This is my favorite artwork by the band on a studio album. This is great, and I got it for an amazing price too. I think it was like $5, and it plays beautifully. Almost done with the Yes collection. Okay. Like I was saying with the vinyls, very easy to find fragile vinyls anywhere you go. That's a record store. I mean, one of the best-selling progressive rock albums of all time. Again, not one of my favorites, but I mean, I actually had 2 copies of the CD as well, but I gave one to my cousin who's also he's starting to get into progressive rock and metal, and I think it's better use with him because I have no use for 2 of those albums. Now, the final item in my Yes collection, and quite possibly my favorite Yes, this is definitely my favorite piece of my Yes collection, probably along with Live at Montreux, and that would be Yes Years. When I saw this, I didn't care how much it was. I didn't even see the price tag. I was gonna buy it, and I ended up getting a great deal on it. This is the best collection of Yes music in my opinion as a compilation. So many unreleased or obscure tracks. Huge set list, by the way. I mean, Ritual, Close to the Edge, if I'm not mistaken, either Awaken or some other I think it is Awaken. Yep, Awaken's on there. Live tracks, unreleased studio tracks, like special edition tracks. Just such an amazing box set. One of the best purchases I've made for box sets. It's just that one compared to the Genesis box set that I showed towards the beginning of this. This one blows it out of the water, in my opinion. Personally, in my opinion. So I've omitted one band from this video so far, and if anybody knows me as a music fan, then you will know what this is immediately. The band that I'll be talking about next is Dream Theater, my favorite band, has been my favorite band since 5th grade. That was 7 years ago actually, wow. So, I don't think that's changing for a while, if ever. This is the largest collection of mine, if I'm not mistaken, or at least it's up there. And I'm also going to include 2 albums from here that I consider Dream Theater albums at this point. Those 2 would be Liquid Tension Experiment albums. It's basically Dream Theater minus My Young plus Tony Levin. And some of the best instrumental albums of all time. I see a lot of progressive metal bands nowadays trying to do instrumental albums. And none of them can keep my interest like the Liquid Tension albums can. Uh, One of the best progressive metal, instrumental or otherwise, songs of all time would be 3 Minute Warning, 28-minute masterpiece on the first Liquid Tension album. Those two, great. I'm just gonna throw them in with Dream Theater because 3 of the members were or are in the band. Next, I'm going to move on to the massive CD collection I have of their music. I'll start with the newest one, which is Distance Over Time. Great album. I think some people are overpraising it, and some people are kind of destroying it. I think it really does fall middle of the road for the band. But I will say that Pale Blue Dot is one of the best Dream Theater songs released in the past 10 years, in my opinion. It's amazing. The riffs, and then also At Wit's End is just a beautiful song as well. It's a great album. There's a few tracks I'd omit from it and maybe replace, but still great nonetheless, and one of the best Mangini era ones. Then the self-titled album. This is included in a box set that I will be showing at the end. Great album. I find myself not returning to this much, but Illumination Theory is one of the best Dream Theater songs, in my opinion. But the rest of the album I'm not as keen on. One of the most underrated Dream Theater albums would be Falling Into Infinity. Trial of Tears and Lines in the Sand, that's all I have to say. And Hell's Kitchen as well. I mean, just beautiful album. Black Clouds and Silver Linings. Another one of the most underrated Dream Theater albums. I find that people consider the golden age of Dream Theater to be from Metropolis to Octavarium. I would throw it all the way up to Black Clouds and maybe even to A Dramatic Turn of Events. This is just such a great album. This was a find that I still can't believe that I made. Dream Theater, When Dream and Day Unite. This is the most underrated Dream Theater album. Everybody bashes this. Everybody puts this below even The Astonishing. And I respect and love The Astonishing, but it's still my least favorite. This one is such an amazing album. Afterlife, Fortune and Lies, The One Who Helped Set the Sun has one of the best Dream Theater intros of all time, bar none. My favorite song of all time, A Change of Seasons, as well as the live tracks. This is the EP. This is my favorite album cover of all time as well. It's just something about it. It's entrancing. And then earlier I said I didn't need 2 copies of Fragile. This is an album that I need 2 copies of, almost 3, because I take this everywhere I go. This is the quintessential live album that's under an hour. This is 47 minutes of, I'd say, the best Labrie vocals, some of the tightest playing in the band, and some of their most passionate playing as well. I would definitely say I prefer albums like Live Scenes from New York, Score, and like almost all their other ones more. But this does what those do in half the time, or sometimes even a third of the time. This is such an amazing live album by the band. I'd totally get my hands on it if you're able to. This is the Studio Collection box set of Dream Theater. This includes all albums from Images and Words to A Dramatic Turn of Events. Great collection. This is super easy and portable. All the albums are in a slipcase type design. It was super cheap. Getting this was it was under half the price of trying to buy these albums digitally for $10. This was, I believe, $50, and that's for 10 albums. You can't beat that. Gonna make an adjustment here. Sorry. Starting to get towards the end of it. Got Dream Theater live at Budokan. One of the best live albums of all time in a lot of progressive metal fans' eyes. I, again, would prefer, I probably do prefer Metropolis, Live Scenes from New York and Score. but Instrumedley is one of the best live tracks they've ever done, in my opinion, by far. It is such an amazing experience, and it's a very emotional experience as well for me. And then I also have Breaking the Fourth Wall, which is another great live album. I would probably put Score above it though, because I think the inclusion of only one real epic on this album hurts it because you're using an orchestra. It's just a very epic album. It would have been awesome to see something like In the Presence of Enemies or The Count of Tuscany especially done with an orchestra. So I think they missed out on that, but it's still a great album. 3 more items. Another find I can't believe I made. This is Dream Theater, When Dream and Day Unite on vinyl. I believe this was a limited re-release by, was it Back on Black? I might be wrong. I don't think it was, to be honest, but super freaking awesome. You can't tell by this cover here, but this is the Black Clouds and Silver Linings box set. I guess it'd be the deluxe edition, and includes this, if I can get it out of here, awesome little mouse pad that I'm never using because I just kind of want to keep this box together, and this beautiful piece of artwork, one of the best Dream Theater album covers in my opinion. Definitely worth the money in my opinion. It has the covers that they did as well as instrumental versions, and there's some other stuff in here that I'm not going to get into right now. And then finally, the last item is the Dream Theater self-titled box set right here, which includes even more than the Black Clouds one. If I'm not mistaken, there's a single in here, there's a thumb drive, whatever the heck these are, the vinyl, the CDs. It is very, very well put together. Dream Theater box sets always are. The one that I want to get my hands on that I don't have because it's so expensive is the A Dramatic Turn of Events deluxe box set, which is, I think, is twice as expensive as these albums are. And it had the possibility, like, to have a golden ticket slipped in, and that golden ticket was basically like a free free concert tickets to Dream Theater concerts for life. So if you wanted to, you could basically just follow them on tour and see them at every single show for free. At least that's what I got from it when I read about it. And it also includes, it's one of the most well put together of the box sets. So that is one that I really want to get. An album that I have coming in is the Dream Theater Distant Memories box set. That should be in by the end of this month, if I'm not mistaken. And I'd love to do a review on that when it arrives at my house. I've already listened to it. It's an amazing, amazing live album. And Dream Theater is also releasing a new studio album next year. At least that's the plan. And Liquid Tension maybe as well, which would be awesome. But anyways, I should be getting to those as well when they come out. And yeah, that was my progressive rock and metal collection for the most part, probably missing a few items. But I take a lot of pride in collecting physical media, and with progressive rock being one of, if not my favorite genre, it's nice to be able to look around and to realize that I have so many of these albums at my disposal to listen to, so much amazing music, so many dozens and dozens and probably hundreds and hundreds of hours of just amazing quality music to listen to. And I'm fortunate to be able to live in a time where this music exists, and I hope that a lot of people my age and a lot of people in the future will be able to enjoy this genre as much as I do. And I hope that it lives on for decades and decades or centuries. And yeah, just, I love this music. So the main reason I am posting this video is because I kind of wanted to spark a discussion. If maybe people who have the same albums that I do, or if people want to ask questions about these albums, kind of use the comments as like a mini forum if you want to, because I'd love to talk about items in my collection or items in your collection. Uh, Collecting music is an awesome hobby, and I'd love to hear stories from other people, or awesome finds, or rare items. Just anything that you guys would like to share, just comment it down below. And I want to thank you for watching all 30-something minutes of this video. I'm so sorry that it was so long, but thank you so much again. I know I haven't posted in a while. I do want to do reviews of some of these albums, especially ones that came out this year or last year. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and thank you for getting me to over 40 subscribers, and thank you for keeping my videos viewed. That means a lot, and I hope to be posting again in the near future. More than likely, my next video will be on the Distant Memories Dream Theater live album. But again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video, hopefully very soon.